What's up, Sports Wars? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today we are talking about football, mainly football. We're going to touch on a few different topics, but we're going to focus on football because football season is almost here. We are all happy as fuck. We can't wait. We're excited, and you're going to see a lot of content from the Sports Wars community and the channel, and we're going to be talking a lot of shit. We sometimes agree, but most of the time we disagree, and that's how we like it. But joining me is the leader of Sports Wars, the mayor of Oakland, the biggest Patriots fan. No, I'm kidding. Pat Brumfield. What's up, Pat?
What up? What up? I'm in the building. Mayor has returned. Well, the mayor never really left, but I'm feeling good. Good to be here, chatting up with you guys. And we got a lot to get into in the coming weeks and months.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the college football aficionado himself, hailing from Beantown. No,
I hate the kids.
the analytical master. The what are we gonna call you? You're like from The Departed, maybe. You're like because that's your song. That's your movie, right? What's that song?
He likes chowder.
What's this? Yeah. What's the
Shipping
song?
up to Boston?
Yeah. That's your like theme song, right? Everywhere you go, you just play that.
It's my ringtone.
But David LaRock, what's up, David?
What up?
Happy to be here, man.
Cover 3.
Yeah. Well, funny story, and this is a host of our Cover 3 podcast. That's right. And funny story about David and myself is we actually met working both retail. I was working at a grocery store. He worked as a vendor, and we started talking, about football. And it's funny because we're both Patriots fans, but we don't agree on pretty much anything. And several times, we were told, like, guys, you need to leave the store. You're being too loud. You're being too bombastic.
Yep. And
it was a lot of fun. So that's how he and I became friends. And then, he introduced me to Pat. So, we got a good thing going. We got some good opinions, some passionate opinions. But let's jump right into it. The topic that's going on right now, and I made a video about this, and I think the majority of people that are going to watch this video are going to feel similar to what I said in that video. National anthem protests. The media just continues to fucking talk about this. I don't really care anymore. I said most football fans don't care. We just want to watch football. We just want to talk shit. We just want to have fun and not worry about politics. So do you think this is going to be a big problem early on in the season, Pat?
Do I think it's going to be a big problem early on in the season or within the overall tapestry of the league? To be quite honest, no. I understand, I see both sides of it. I understand that there are a lot of people who are upset about it. I understand, but there are also a good amount of people who support it and the reasons behind it. However, from the optics that I've seen, at least, me going to NFL games, being in sports bars, talking to people, playing fantasy, just the overall energy around the league, when it first happened, okay, yeah, I understand there was a lot of contention, but that was also around the time of the election. So people were just at each other's throats in general. But since then, I'm not 100% sure it rises to the level of actively making masses upon masses of people stop watching football. I think a good amount of people are apathetic to it from both sides, even if they don't really realize it. And overall, I don't think it's really going to stand in the way of anything. I think a lot of people aren't really bothered by it as I am. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
David?
Yeah, I agree with Pat. Like, it shouldn't be that big of a deal moving forward. You still have, a couple players who said that they weren't going to do it, no matter what. But, I mean, I think in the big scheme of things, there's, more important stuff that they can do.
Yeah, definitely. I hope this issue just goes away. I feel like the media is going to try to continue to push it. I was listening to Colin Cowherd yesterday on, Speak for Yourself. And he basically said, like, I look at my numbers. People are tired of this. They don't care about this topic anymore. This is a media-driven story now, and Colin's all about the numbers, and he says it. People don't want to hear about this anymore, and I fully agree with him. So, but we wanted to touch on that topic just because it is something that the media continues to talk about. But I think most of us here are just kind of done with it, as most of you probably are watching. So, the other topic to talk about before we get into football season is the thing that's making the rounds, and that is LeBron James versus Donald Trump. Look, I think you all know where I stand in terms of the president of the United States, and I don't like LeBron James at all. And I love that how the media is portraying LeBron out to be the victim here. LeBron has continued to criticize the president over and over and over and over and over. It's Donald Trump. He's going to respond at some point. That's just who he is. So I just don't like the fact that now they're playing the victim role with LeBron. Like you called him a bum, you've called him a racist, you've called him a liar, you said you wouldn't sit down and talk with him. You've made all these claims, and he responded. That's what he does. And this is after Trump has been very complimentary of LeBron James. I think LeBron James is genuinely a good guy. I think he's a really good guy. I think that if you look at him, the trajectory that his life and his career has been on, I don't think anybody could have handled being LeBron better than LeBron has handled being LeBron.
I mean, it helps that he's the best PR team ever.
Yeah, but even still, man, I mean, look, you're that famous, you're that highly regarded. The man's, I'm sure he's done things in his life that he's probably not proud of, but he's kept it out of the media, you know? And yeah, like
because
you're saying,
he has a filter of 15 buffers.
I know, but look, there's more cameras than there's ever been. And LeBron, look, do I think LeBron's been faithful to his wife all this time? Hell no. But he ain't never been caught. You know what I'm saying? He ain't Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was running through everything that was coming his way. You know what I mean? But LeBron he's kept this image up as a family man. And he's generally said all the right things in the media. And he's handled himself really well as a basketball player. And, you know, I commend him for that. But he's the one that started this. And so Trump responded. So, Pat, what do you think?
All right. So full disclosure for the majority of the Geeks and Gamers audience who aren't super familiar with me outside of the Oakland Raiders yet, politically, the best way to describe me is I'm a moderate. I'm not 100% right or left. I know you probably hear that 100 million times, but with me, it's genuine. As far as this whole thing goes, to me, it's not really that dynamic or revolutionary or special of an issue at all. LeBron James is a young African-American man from the inner city. 90% of the time, people who fall into that demographic are Democrats. So for him to be overtly critical of a Republican sitting president, like, okay, that's par for the course since forever. So, you know, the bombastic nature of their back and forth to me is just more attention on both their ends. I mean, I'm a LeBron fan, but I'm not going to sit here and cape for him like the guy doesn't have an ego and doesn't have a brand. You know, him versus Trump to me is not really anything particularly special. However, LeBron James, as I stated in my last video, absolutely fucking dunked on Laura Ingraham. He won that whole little matchup. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
I don't even agree with that, though. Laura Ingraham got more exposure than she's probably ever had out of it. Like,
true, but every time somebody says that term, shut up and dribble, now it's going to be promotion for LeBron's documentary.
Oh, I'm sure, but let's just see what happens when the season starts, because LeBron ain't doing he's more focused on being a movie star than he is playing basketball now.
Who called that, by the way?
You and Skip Bayless.
Well, but Jeremy, I mean, LeBron James is teamed up with the next young dynamic superstar, big baller brand all the way. So, baby.
I mean, look, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't like LeBron as a player. I don't cheer for LeBron, but in the same time, I do pull for him because basketball's better when he's, you know, involved. And so I always want him to be in the mix, even though I always pull for him unless it was against the Warriors that year when everybody was trying to say Curry was better than LeBron.
Everybody except actual Warriors fans.
David, you know, the transcendent player. I remember I remember all those arguments at Sam's Club.
The volume, again, yes. The volume of threes and the percentage he made, he was transcendent. It was the best shooting performance we've ever seen in a single year.
That's cool. JJ Redick could do it too.
Not at the volume, damn it.
He could if he had that green light. Hubert Davis.
You're right. Yes. Yes.
All
Hubert
right,
Davis is on the same level as Steph.
Trump versus
Okay.
LeBron. What are your thoughts?
I have no thoughts. I mean, it's I didn't vote, so I don't really care either way. I think what LeBron did with the school is great. I did read. I know nothing about politics, right? I did read a blurb. Isn't Ohio a swing state?
Oh yeah,
He said all positive things, like you said, with LeBron in Ohio.
yeah.
He now goes to LA and he bashes them. Maybe there's a political motive. I don't know. I just found out that was I kind of like the whole conspiracy thing.
Wait. Now say that again now.
Okay, so he said nothing but positive things to LeBron.
Well,
previously, right?
I don't think he said anything positive about LeBron during the
nice
election.
guy, good player. Well,
Yeah, but I think that was well beyond him even running for president when he said all that, because LeBron actually campaigned for Hillary.
All that shit was years and years.
Yeah,
and years
that was a
ago.
long. Yeah, that was a
Trump
long
used to
time
just
ago.
tweet
Trump
about,
but
Trump used to
so,
tweet about all kind of shit.
but I mean, the negativity didn't start until he left, right?
Well, it didn't start until like, I mean, no. Well, LeBron called him a bum before the season ended, but the Trump didn't respond. And then LeBron said it was
when did he respond?
Trump responded to the Don Lemon interview the other night. So it was
So that was his first negative response.
Right.
And it was a year after he left a swing state.
Right.
I'm just maybe 1 + 1 = 2. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think
to
so.
make a
But I
long
see what you're
story
saying.
short-
I see what you're
To
saying.
make a long story short, a Republican and a Democrat don't like each other. Oh my God. Come
Yeah,
on, man.
it's
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. So,
It's a
but,
non-story. It's
I
whatever.
look, personally, politics isn't new WWE for me. So it's that's pretty much what it is. Like, it's pure
So
entertainment.
you are on it. You're on an island with that one, brother.
No, it's not. Politics is WWE. It's a popularity contest.
I'm
George
not saying
W.
it's
Bush.
not.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that a lot of people take it far, far more seriously than that.
So people take WWE far more seriously too. You would be surprised.
I used to.
So, but yeah, that's how I look at politics. So, I hope LeBron runs for president. That would be fantastic. That would be 2020, Trump versus LeBron, because he was asked about that. Don Lemon asked him, "Would you run for president?" And he's like, "Well, if there's nobody that can beat Trump, then I'll think about it." And I'm like, "Please do this. Please, Lord, let this happen. Just please let this happen." So anyway, let's move on, because fuck all that noise. It's almost here. Football season is upon us. We are all excited. This is the most exciting time of the year. Training camp has begun. For me, a college football fan, these guys don't really follow college football, but we're going to focus.
Well, one guy is actively opposed to it. The other guy isn't.
Right. Yeah. The black guy actually likes it. I'll just leave it at that. So David is very anti-college football.
It's not that I'm anti. It's just it's bad product.
Look. We're not even going to start. Okay, so what are a few things we are looking forward to in the upcoming NFL season? I think there's a couple of decent topics that we can touch on here. The first thing I want to talk about is, how do we feel about Deshaun Watson this season?
Oh, wow. I'd rather talk about college football.
So I am a big believer in Deshaun Watson. As an Alabama fan, I watched what he did at Clemson. I think he's very impressive. Obviously, his rookie season, he was great. He was probably on path to maybe be a legitimate MVP candidate that year until he went down. And I'm a big believer in Deshaun Watson. I think this guy's got a bright future ahead of him. David's got some thoughts. Pat's got some thoughts. So let's go to Pat first. Pat, what are your thoughts on Deshaun Watson and his second?
So my overall thoughts on Deshaun Watson, I had fleeting respect for the Houston Texans before he showed up. Even though we whooped their ass down in Mexico City, and they came back and beat us without our quarterback, and we're just popping off shit about it. Yeah, how'd that go for you the next week in New England? Anyway. I think Deshaun Watson is an excellent prospect on the football field and is just an excellent young man off the football field. His seeming grasp of the concept, making the transition from college to pro. Yes, I know that he hasn't learned everything that he's going to learn yet, but as far as that initial introductory period, like, he was out there lighting it up. He was out there killing it. I hated to see him go down, but overall, I feel like Bill O'Brien has finally found a legitimate answer at quarterback. Because when you look at what he's done, yes, David, I know the division is weak. You look at what he's done really without much consistency at the quarterback position, injuries back and forth on his defense, and him having a top-end receiver who's very, very seldom mentioned among the Antonio Browns and Julio Joneses of the world. Like, I think Houston is a very interesting prospect, and I would be legitimately surprised, barring injury, if they did not win the AFC South.
David?
That's blasphemous. So you like Watson because he tore up Alabama, right?
I mean, not so much because he tore up Alabama, but the way
he balled out.
Right. I mean, Manziel tore up Alabama, but I never believed Manziel was going to be an NFL quarterback.
Okay, yeah, that was kind of my
right.
next question.
5 foot nothing.
Yeah. Right.
All right. The thing about Watson is you cannot take his sample size, an uber small sample size, and stretch it and be like, you know what? Because he did this in 6 games, this would have been it for 17 games or 16 games. Shit don't work like that. It doesn't. Go back, watch film. He had the most air yards in the entire effing league in those weeks. He's chucking and praying. And he's got Will Fuller and Hopkins, and nobody had film on him. And he's just running around and just chucking it. He did that to New England, week 4?
Mm-hmm.
Week 5. Yeah. Again, it's not sustainable. It is not. I think he's going to be a fairly good quarterback. I don't think, for fantasy purposes, he's the number 2 quarterback taken overall. That is stupid. Folks are just enamored, and we don't know how the mobility is going to work because he tore his ACL in practice. We don't know how it happened. Was it on a bootleg? Did he plant? Whatever. Is that going to have an effect on him going forward? They don't have a third wide receiver. Their starting running back, Lamar Miller, is about 35 years old. Their sophomore running back that they drafted last year, Foreman, tore his Achilles. He's not going to be ready till November. Yeah, I get it. Shiny new toy. But you can't take what he did and just be like, yeah, yep, that's going to go all the way there. Because the perfect example is Mike Vick. When he had that minuscule run, folks are like, MVP. Atlanta's going to go to the Super Bowl. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. What happens to Houston if Hopkins gets hurt?
I mean, we don't know. We don't know.
It's not a legit – I mean, they're not really running routes. They're running go routes. And as far as Bill O'Brien, he was the OC in New England when, granted, they were winning divisions, but they weren't putting up 40, right? He had Tom effing Brady. And, again, the point total was never there. Bill O'Brien has never coached an offense that was ranked higher than 13th in the league in points per game. Whatever.
Well, I hear all your points. And I remember the Mike Vick run. We all do. I was never a fan of Michael Vick as a quarterback. As a football player, I enjoyed watching him play, but I never believed he was ever going to be anything legitimate like that. But Deshaun Watson is not a run-first quarterback. He's not. He has the ability to run, and he runs when he needs to, but he's a pass-first quarterback. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's got the right height. He's not Johnny Manziel. He's not Michael Vick. They're really short. I mean, he can see over the offensive line. He has good vision. I think he's got good instincts. And a lot of the things you're being critical on about him are a lot of things you can be critical on any young quarterback. So, I mean, of course he was chucking it up here and there, but
here and there, it was the entire run.
I don't know if it was the entire run. The dude was leading the league and wasn't he leading the league in touchdown passes before he got hurt?
Yes.
I mean, come on, that's not sustainable over that long a time. You can't do that's way how many games was it? 10?
7.
Was it 7? Okay, so 7 games and he's leading the NFL in touchdown passes.
Yeah.
That's a little more than just a fluky little thing. We can bring up Tebow in a situation and how he won all these games, and that's fine. You can sit there point to go, well, he wasn't consistently great all through the game. He fourth quarter, prevent defenses, whatever. Deshaun Watson was he was consistently good every game. Every game.
No tape.
So I have high expectations for that. I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to battle to be the best quarterback in the NFL or anything like that. I think he could potentially be a top 5 guy in a few years.
He's not even the best quarterback in his division.
Who's the best quarterback in the division?
In that division?
Yeah.
Luck.
Get the
hell
out of here.
Folks forget.
Okay,
folks
Colin
forget.
Cowherd. Okay, Colin.
Dude, I'm telling you, folks forget 2 years ago he threw for 5,000 yards.
He gets more excuses than anybody in sports.
Because he's good.
He's not good.
He went to an AFC title game. Folks forget
that. Let me take that back. He is good. I'm not saying he's not good. He's not great. And all I've heard since Luck was at Stanford is how great he is, and I've never seen him be great. All I've heard is how great he's going to be.
He threw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns and literally took T.Y. Hilton.
Indianapolis sabotaged the early portion of his career. What Carson Wentz did before he got injured last year is what Andrew Luck should have done from jump. But, kooky owner and shitty GM.
Jim Irsay popping pills and shit.
It sounds like Aaron Rodgers 2.0, where it's always an excuse. Oh, he's so great, but he can't do it because. Fucking figure it out.
Jeremy, see, you're my homie, you're my boy, but this is consistently a thing with you. There's a fundamental difference between an excuse and a legitimate reason. A roster has to be constructed and operate in a certain way. Andrew Luck has had absolute bullshit around him outside of Vontae Davis and T.Y. Hilton.
Same owner that Peyton Manning dominated the league. And what's his name? Bill Polian? Bill Polian is a Hall of Fame guy, not because he's a fucking Hall of Famer, because he had Peyton Manning as his quarterback.
You mean to tell me that there's no turnaround on that roster between the Peyton Manning era, going to the Super Bowl and not shaking hands with
what I'm saying is if
and Andrew Luck several years later?
No, the difference between Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck is you put Peyton Manning on any roster in the NFL, just like you put LeBron on any roster in the NBA, and he will make it successful. I'm not saying championship per se. He will make that team successful. Period. Andrew Luck,
he can make the DBs cover.
Dude, Peyton Manning overcame everything. Peyton Manning was that good. Like LeBron.
The last time Andrew Luck played a healthy year, they went to the AFC title game.
Look, you look at the Super Bowl, okay? Tom Brady throws for 500 and what? How many yards?
It was 505, I think.
Okay, a fluky play here or there, and the Patriots win. Why did they win that game for a fluky play here or there? Because Tom Brady overcame horrible defense.
It was awful.
In the biggest game of the year. A great quarterback can cover a lot of scars. A lot. And you're telling me Andrew Luck's not covering very many. He's not covering as many scars as you guys are continuing to tell me how great he is. I keep hearing he's the greatest talent since John Elway.
I didn't say that.
No, I didn't say you, but I'm saying that was what they've always been saying about him. He was the greatest quarterback talent since John Elway.
If he is healthy, he is an MVP candidate.
I think he's a really good quarterback. But we get into this Aaron Rodgers hyperbole with him where how long's he been in the league now?
I think like 4 or 5 years. Minus his injury, it's really only been like 3.
I mean, I watched him at Stanford. He was fine at Stanford. He didn't blow me away at Stanford.
Again, it's kids. I mean,
it doesn't matter if he's that great. All I heard was how great he is.
No,
he never did anything great. He never won. He never won a national championship. He never took over games like people like Tebow did. Look at Tebow's college numbers. Numbers. You want to talk about greatness in college?
Yes.
There's your
how many first rounders was on that team? He had 2 Pro Bowl linemen in the Pouncey brothers. He had Cooper, who was a legit. I mean, granted, he was a racist, but he was a legit wide receiver. You had Percy Harvin, who won a Super Bowl, should have been Super Bowl MVP.
You know why Percy Harvin came to Florida?
Because he was running away from something? I don't know.
Tim Tebow. He said it himself. The only reason he came to the University of Florida was to play with Tim Tebow.
And then also Aaron Hernandez.
Let's talk about some NFC, y'all.
Point is, Andrew Luck has never done anything that's shown that he's this all-time great talent.
5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns.
Did Tony Romo ever throw for 5,000 yards?
Close.
Thank you. Point proven right there.
And again, Romo was a decent quarterback.
He was a decent quarterback. Nobody was saying Tony Romo's like an MVP caliber quarterback every single year. Nobody was saying he's a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady. Yet all I hear is how Andrew Luck is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But he's never done anything.
We really hit a nerve with this Andrew Luck shit.
You did. I'm tired of Andrew Luck hype. show me the money or get the hell out. And he hasn't shown me. He's shown me he's a good quarterback, and that's fine.
Jeremy, look, as long as you don't make Fred's every other day bitching about him like you do Cam Newton's fashion, we're straight. Let's move on.
Everybody, do you really want to bring Cam into this right now? But anyway, okay, we're going to move on from overrated. I mean, Andrew Luck. We're going to move on from him, and we're going to talk about Khalil Mack because we have Raider Nation here on the show. So this whole Khalil Mack thing is crazy. Khalil Mack, arguably one of the top defensive players in the NFL right now. John Gruden taking over in Oakland after how many years? 10, 12 years that he hadn't been coaching? 10. He hasn't had a phone call with Khalil Mack. There seems to be a lot of tension there. It's really, really strange what's going on. So, Pat, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, according to Gruden, and of course, we can't really verify this, but apparently they did have a very, very early phone call when he first showed up back in town. But there hasn't been a follow-up conversation or dialogue since then between Gruden and Khalil personally, or between Reggie McKenzie's camp and Khalil Mack's agent. Now, there's been a lot of chatter that early on, Reggie McKenzie and Gruden weren't exactly seeing eye to eye on a lot of things. That's tapered a lot, so that leads me to believe that they're a little bit more on the same wavelength. But I'm not going to sit here and cape and be, the completely biased fan who has goggles on and can't look at shit objectively. Objectively speaking, your favorite term, Jeremy, right now the situation isn't good. Now, do I think it's going to elevate to the level of him actively being traded to another damn team? No, I don't. But as it stands right now, it's not really a good situation. Something's got to give. Now, granted, do the Raiders have a ton of money salary cap-wise at the moment? Not really. We're trying to retool a defense to build a foundation. We brought a lot of pieces in. We basically completely overhauled the roster because the talent just wasn't really there. But yeah, as of right now, I am actively concerned about the situation.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I heard a question on Undisputed, and they were like, "Has John Gruden kind of lost touch with current NFL?" And I'm like, I don't see that. I mean, he's been plugged into the NFL. It's not like he's been out on a ranch for the last 10 years, farming. I mean, he's been plugged into the NFL product for the last decade and interviewing these players, talking to these players, coming right out of college, starting to understand how, players have changed and how social media has changed things. So I don't think that he's out of touch. So David, what are your thoughts on it?
I will say if this happened to Gronk, I would vomit on myself every day. To be concerning is an issue for the fact that they haven't talked. You back up the Brinks truck for Carr, which he deserves it. Cooper as well. You get rid of Crabtree, and then you bring in a 33-year-old coming off an ACL injury. I don't really understand that. And Jordy Nelson. And then Gruden came out and said, hey, this defense isn't good. And that was inferring like Mack was on the defense. So people are inferring that he called Mack not good. He's not. Maybe he doesn't want to pay him, the Aaron Donald money. I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't. But the fact that they're also trying to talk into Donald Penn, the starting left tackle, he's on the last year of his deal. That might not get done. I don't know. There's just a lot of disconnect. I kind of wish this would have been forefronted earlier in the draft. I just think it's extremely difficult to trade somebody of that caliber in camp because, A, you have to have a team that has to have cap room that's going to give him a long-term deal and give up draft picks for assets. So it's just a lot of moving pieces. I think eventually he plays. I
think he's got to. I can't see how this – I just can't see how
I don't
this
know.
John Gruden's got a lot of pressure on him. John Gruden, I think, has been a little bit overhyped, just for his return to coach. I like John Gruden a lot.
He's got no pressure on him. He's on a 10-year deal. Like, they're not going to fire him after 2.
Pressure from a public standpoint because he's become this mythical legend almost in the past decade. So, yeah. And I just think that he's got this almost like – he's almost got like this Belichickian hype around him as a coach, like that he's going to be that great. He's the Messiah. And that puts a lot of pressure because if he walks in there and goes, 3-10, all of a sudden starts to
They're not
see
gonna go
3-10.
but
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you lose Khalil Mack, that's a major piece. Major piece. What did they go last year?
Pat,
6
6-10.
and 10.
And you don't have Khalil Mack this year, and you're telling me you can't start the first 13 games and go 3-10? What do you think people will be saying about Chucky at that point?
I mean, if Carr's healthy, they're going to go 8-8 probably. 9-7.
But they're not. But that's what I'm saying. But the lead in, because of Gruden and his personality and everything, it's like they're expecting this to be like a 12-4 season, and go deep into the playoffs. And I don't think I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's. Yeah, I don't think that's fair. I'm just saying that if he goes 2 seasons and there's no playoffs, then there's a lot of shine gone off of John Gruden's legend. A lot. So that's what I mean.
I'll put it to you like this, man, before we move on. And this isn't anything revolutionary, but I'm just making it plain. There is a stark contrast between the true nature of discourse amongst a fan base and what the national media will try to portray about a certain fan base. Now, let's be honest here. The national media, for the most part, is a little bit more East Coast centric because there's a higher concentration of population on the East Coast. So their connection to being on the street and in the mix, seeing how it is in reality for Raider fans, it's only going to be so accurate. They have us, they'll tell you that we're expecting a Super Bowl. That is not the case.
Okay, that's fair.
Right now, I'm in a place where 7-9 or 8-8 feels realistic to me, and after last year would represent legitimate progress.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm staying real grounded this year.
That's good. Okay, so let's move on. We have to talk about the wonderful, wonderful New England Patriots. Obviously, got a lot of – it's New England. There's always a lot of talk around New England. So, really the main thing I want to discuss is the Edelman situation with him missing the first 4 games. And just signed I'm drawing a blank, receiver. Who'd we sign?
Eric Decker.
I don't like Eric Decker.
By the way, who's not going to make the team?
You don't think so?
No.
I don't like Eric Decker. I can't stand him.
Why?
I think he sucks.
His wife, though. Very nice singer.
Yeah, she's hot. She's hot. So what do we think about this early season for the New England Patriots? And the bigger question is the question that they're going to ask all season long. Is a 41-year-old Tom Brady going to fall off the cliff, as Max Kellerman said would happen last year? So, David, we got to go to you first. Thoughts on the Edelman situation and Brady falling off a cliff?
So, real quick, McDaniels, Belichick, they're going to morph a team, with whatever. It doesn't matter. Hogan's going to ball out. You have Burkhead. You have White. You have other options. A name to remember, Jacob Hollister and Riley McCarron. Those, again, they're white folks. I get it. They're going to ball. So, yeah, Decker's not going to make the team. As far as Edelman, he's 30-something, coming off an ACL injury. The first 4 games is only going to help him later on in the season. Do we actually need him for the first 4? Probably not. As far as the cliff, the mythical cliff, I get it. It's 41. It's never happened. No 41-year-old has ever made the playoffs. But the fact that what we saw last February, and he had 600 yards of total offense, I don't know, does that just automatically change and drop off over a summer? I don't, quarterback is the one position that, A, you don't have to be really athletic. He's never had the strongest arm, and everything is cerebral. He knows what the defense is running before the defense is even running it. And if you have Gronk and Belichick and a healthy Tom, the machine marches on. The other pieces are interchangeable. It doesn't matter.
I agree.
So I think they go 11-5, 12-4, first place. If anybody wants to get to the Super Bowl, go I-95, keep going until you see the 5 trophies. Run it back.
Pat, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so check this out, you guys. And this coming from me, actually, given the last few conversations about this we've had, it might not even surprise you. All of this chatter about, there's drama in New England. There's dissension in New England. This, that, and third is happening in New England. The Dunkin' Donuts have been delivered late in New England. You're still going to go 12-4. And with regard to the cliff, only a handful of months ago, the guy who was going on 41 but is now 41, he's looking at the field like, okay, what part of the field is Malcolm Jenkins not in? I'm going to throw to the part of the field that 27's not there. And he put up 33 points. You spend an off season getting massages from Homeboy and drinking hydrogenated, frozen broccoli smoothies. Do you just suddenly show up to camp and suck overnight? That's not realistic with really any player, regardless of what their age is. To me, it's all a bunch of non-stories and non-issues with regard to how it translates to what's going to be put out on the field. If they go anything less than 11-5, I'm going to be like jaw-dropping to the floor, shocked. And as far as Edelman goes, I mean, he's a 32-year-old slot receiver, although he's a beast at slot receiver, coming off of an Achilles. But last time this dude played in an official game was the Atlanta Super Bowl. I expect some rust, but at the same time, that extra 4 weeks of rest might help him. And yeah, I see a 12-4 or 11-5 season. I see another ho-hum victory over Pittsburgh, about to be hyped up by the media just to end up, in a walk-off touchdown from Brady. And yeah, par for the course.
Yeah, I mean, with Edelman, as far as I'm concerned, if the league wants to continue to suspend Patriot players for the first 4 games of the year to give them rested just so they can be ready for the playoffs, by all means, go ahead. And so I'm not worried about the Edelman situation at all. Yeah, may go 2-2, 3-1 in that. It depends on what all happens, with receivers and stuff like that. Hopefully they'll suspend Gronk for the first 8 games of the regular season just so we can make sure he's healthy.
Just bubble wrap him.
And as far as Brady goes, yeah, it does feel kind of crazy to just say, a 41-year-old quarterback is not going to fall off the cliff. But I just don't see it at this point. I just don't. Now, if you would have asked me this 2 years ago, I probably would have been like, yeah, I don't think Brady's going to be playing at a high level at 41. He'll probably still be a good top 10 quarterback, 2-3 years ago if you would have asked me this. But the fact that this cat come off an MVP and, Super Bowl records, and it's crazy, man. So I don't see him dropping off this year at all. I haven't seen anything from him on the field to suggest that he is going to drop off.
That's the key.
Yeah, and David said it best. It's never – Tom Brady's always like – Tom Brady looks like you go back to his rookie season, he looked like a baby deer when he was running, and he still looks like a baby deer when he runs. I mean, athletic ability is not his strong suit. It's what's up here, and nobody's better. So not worried about that at all. Last point I want to touch on here, something I didn't prep you guys on, but you're both going to be fine to answer this one. How do we feel about Jimmy Garoppolo? What do we think is going to happen? And I'm not going to bring up the porn star stuff and all that crap. I'm just talking about the fact that this guy he's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, right?
Yes.
Highest paid quarterback in the NFL. What? Look, he's got a lot of potential. He's clearly got the look that they want to make this guy the next type of like the face of the NFL and all that crap. His touchdown to interception ratio is not good. He was decent.
7-5.
Yeah, he's decent in New England, and obviously they won a bunch of games in San Francisco. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's got the potential to be possibly a top 10, top 15 guy consistently. But they're paying him like he's Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. It's insane. So what do you guys think about Jimmy G?
I mean, so the contract had to happen because it's just the market value. Right. Like they traded for him. They have to get him back up the Brinks truck. That's the dude. Kyle Shanahan, that was not his first choice. He actually wanted Cousins. But, Jimmy, whatever. He can, the offense is going to move the ball well. I mean, in the same 7-game stretch, I said this on the Cover 3 Fantasy Pod, Josh McCown, quarterback for the Jets, had better numbers in that same 7-game stretch as Jimmy. Again, it's the Deshaun Watson sample size issue. It's too small. You can't extrapolate it and go, all right, now he's going to take us to the promised land. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. Would I have a buddy of mine actually asked me, would you have rather had Tom the last 2 years or Jimmy for the next 10? And the answer is Tom for the next 2. Like, even though they lost the Super Bowl, give me 52 and this season as opposed to Jimmy for the next 10. Like, we don't know if he's going to be great. A lot of it's coaching and other pieces. I hope he does well. Jimmy will always have a special place in my heart because it's Jimmy G. I mean, but yeah, it's, highest paid quarterback. I mean,
I think it's a problem. I think it's going to be a problem for them. Joe Flacco type of problems, when they overpaid Flacco, and how'd that work out for Baltimore? You know what I mean? So,
they got him a ring.
No, I know. But it's still, long term, like it just hasn't paid off for them, So, all right, Pat, what do you got?
Well, I guess I'll use this to kind of springboard into my talk of the superior conference in general, the NFC. The Minnesota Vikings, in spite of their abnormal health last year, are absolutely stacked and loaded on both sides of the ball. The Philadelphia Eagles, the defending champions, are absolutely stacked and loaded on both sides of the ball. The New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons are pretty legitimately loaded on both sides of the ball. The Los Angeles Rams in San Francisco's division are absolutely loaded on both sides of the ball. The San Francisco 49ers are a team that is rebuilding. They found their answer at quarterback, but they don't have weapons at receiver. They have a pretty putrid O-line. And on defense, they have very little identity to speak of. Richard Sherman came down, but that, let's be honest, that was more of a move to spite his former team. And he's 30 years old, and he's coming off of an Achilles injury. Like, this San Francisco roster, will it be legitimately better than how putrid they were last year? Yes, but they're nowhere near being on their way to being on that elite level of all these other NFC powerhouses. And as far as Jimmy G in particular, does he have the potential to be really good? Yes, I think he has good mechanics. I think physically, he's in the right place. Apparently he's bulked up a little bit, so he should be able to handle the hits of a starting role more. But at the same time, like David says, our sample size with Jimmy G is not large at all. And it's a situation where we have to see if the guy's durable. We have to see how quickly he's going to grasp Kyle Shanahan's system. I mean, Matt Ryan is an 11-year veteran. It took him a full 2 seasons to learn it before, like, okay, now we're on. Like, is Jimmy G, who spent 3 years as a backup and then played a few games in basically garbage time of the latter half of the season, on the same level as Matt Ryan to grasp the more nuanced and more complex aspects of the Shanahan system? Come on.
Not only that, but less weapons. No Julio, no Freeman.
To go from Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman and Mohamed Sanu to
Marquise Goodwin
and Goodwin and McKinnon, like, I wouldn't be surprised if both San Francisco and Oakland went 7-9, and the game that they played each other was a fucking tie.
Yeah, and I just I don't know. I'm gonna wrap this up because we went a little bit longer than I wanted. But Jimmy G, I think he's good. I think he's got a potential to be good, but I think he could potentially be hurting that franchise. Not him personally, but I'm saying that contract is going to hurt the long-term success of the franchise. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But this is going to be it for this Sports Wars. What should have been live, but we had too many internet.
Maybe next time
on my side. But that's what happens. When you have the man after you. I had a black person on this show, so they're just trying to hold us down now. So there's nothing we can do about it. So
yeah, shit.
But
hopefully your audience isn't traumatized by my presence.
But yeah, but it's been a lot of fun, and we're definitely gonna talk more college football. And these guys are just there's not their thing they're not interested in college football, so I didn't talk much about it. But we do have people on the Sports Wars team, and so we'll probably do like a college football centric episode with myself hosting. We'll get the Morgan brothers on here. They're a couple of Georgia Bulldog fans, so that'll be an interesting dynamic. Before David loses it, I'll have to stop with the college football talk. But anyway, I've enjoyed this. So for Pat, for David, I've been Jeremy. I hope you guys enjoy this. Make sure you like it. Make sure you share it and subscribe to the Sports Wars channel. If you enjoyed it, you're going to see a lot more content from us in the future. You guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.